Hi, this is Gese Michael Roach, and I'm with Jamie Plant, the director of the Knowledge Base. And today we're just going to talk about, this is one of the 11 projects, which is part of the Worldview organization. By the way, Jamie, I'm pausing because we're going to be translated. And we're going to talk about Jamie's project, which is one of the 11 projects which will benefit from the Castle Rock Fund. So the Castle Rock Fund is like an endowment which will produce income, hopefully for hundreds of years, and it will help generate rent money and other expenses that all of our organizations need to cover. And that way, we can keep going from generation to generation. So how did Jamie's project start long ago? We could say that the Knowledge Base started, I would say, about 40 years ago, Jamie, before you were born. And just kidding. And I remember, when I first met my teacher, I heard about him in the Himalayas, and I had to go back to the U.S. I was studying in the Himalayas, and I had to go back to the U.S. Because my mom was sick. And I asked different people. I had meetings with very, very high teachers, and they said, oh, go meet Ken Rinpoche, go talk to him. He can teach you. He's near Princeton. He's 1 hour from Princeton. You can meet him. And I remember I went there to his house, and it was a strange story. It's similar to the 8,000 verses of the Perfection of Wisdom story. So I made a date to meet him. He was giving a class with 5 or 6 people, and I called his attendant, and they arranged for me to come. And I said, well, okay, I'll be there. I have a car. And when I tried to start the car, it was broken. It wouldn't start. And I was getting late, and I was really scared, and so I ran out on the road, on the highway, and I started hitchhiking, and hundreds of people passed me, and they wouldn't stop, and it was just like an old sutra story, and I was like crying, and I was like, man, and nobody would stop, and then finally I thought, and then it started to snow really heavy. And I thought, no one's going to stop now. And I ran to my friend's house because I knew he had a car, I ran there, and he said, okay, I'll take you, get in the car. And we drove for about an hour. And he dropped me off. I was late for my first class. And I came in, and I didn't listen to much of the class because I was so nervous. I was supposed to meet him afterwards. And everybody left the class. He finished. Everybody left. And I'm alone with this teacher. And he's standing I remember he's standing at the door. I'm sitting at the classroom chair. And he said, here's his first words for me. Did you see Muhammad Ali knock that guy out last night? I'm like, what? He said, the boxing, he smashed the guy's head. Unbelievable. And I'm like, and then I thought, wow, this is so strange that the teacher is asking me about fighting, And I said, well, I don't watch that. And he looked at me and he said, oh, they're not trying to hurt each other. They're just trying to do the best job they can. They're trying to excel. And I'm like, oh. And then he said, okay, come in my room, And he sat on his bed, and I sat on the floor, and I said, will you be I gave him my bank book, my account book, And I said, will you be my teacher? And he's got this book, and he's like, what's this, I said, that's my account book. He said, well, what's that, And I said, well, that's all my money. That's all the money I have. And I want to offer it to you, and I want you to be my teacher. And he goes like this, and he threw the book at me, and he hit me with the book. He said, I don't need your money, I'll teach you. Yeah, I'll teach you for sure. No problem. And so I said, I'll do anything you need. He said, okay, your first job is to take me down to Washington, D.C., and we're going to spend 6 weeks there. And I'm going to learn English, We were speaking in like half Tibetan because I knew some Tibetan. And then he said, you're going to be my driver. So we went down together, and we stayed in a Sri Lankan monastery, and it was really hard. And I remember I had to drive him to George Washington University every day, and then he would go to his English class, and then he'd come home. The first night he came home, he's almost 60, and he's learning a new language. And he looked at me and he said, "Here you go." He handed me all these papers, And I said, "Well, what's that?" I said, "That's my homework." And I said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" He said, "You do the homework." And I said, "Well, I can't do the homework. You're supposed to do the homework." And he looked at me like I was insane, and he said, "I'm your teacher. Do the homework." And I'm like, yes, sir, yes, teacher, and I did the homework. And then we met some crazy guy who worked for the government in the automobile safety department. And he said to Rinpoche, will you teach? Will you teach something? Can you teach something? And Rinpoche, yeah, I already learned English for a week, and I can teach. And he was kind of a confident person. And he started teaching. And this guy, which is Robert Taylor, okay, Jamie? Dr. Taylor, he set up this reel-to-reel recorder. And he said, it's important that we record Rinpoche. It's important for future generations. We have to make a recording. And I'm like, what's this thing? And he said, this is called a tape recorder. And he set it up, and he got all these microphones everywhere. And at that time, that was the only recording you could make, And so we had this slow reel-to-reel tape recorder, and we recorded Rinpoche's teachings. And from the beginning, from the first day. And he taught for almost 30 years. And we recorded almost everything, okay? And we thought, oh, this is going to be important for future generations. Then one of the students named Dr. Michael Moore, who's still around, who grades all the ACI papers for prisoners, for people in prisons. He said, I'll take all the recordings and I'll get them arranged, and we'll store them, We'll put them in an archive. And so we gave him all the recordings. And then one day there was a fire at his house, and we lost everything. We lost all the recordings, all of Rinpoche's recordings we lost. And it was unbelievable, like demons work, And so what I want to say is, this is my experience of recording my teacher for 30 years. And we lost almost everything. And Jamie has decided himself, nobody asked him. He's an unusual worldview organization, because he decided, without being asked, that he's going to make all the recordings safe of all the classes and all the teachings for the last 30 years. And he's been doing that. He's been saving all those recordings. He's been archiving them. Then he puts them online with beautiful explanations, beautiful artwork, and he makes it available for free. And I asked him, I don't know, a while ago, how many teachings there, Jamie? He said 5,000, Geshe-la, 5,000 teachings there for free. I said, are you almost done? He said, yeah, I got 5,000 more to do. I'm halfway. And so I just wanted to thank Jamie. He's never asked for anything from me. He's never asked for money. He's quietly, by himself, with his own determination, he has taken care of all the archive and made it available for free in the whole world for many years. And I have this karma. Whatever problems I have in my life, I have this one karma that there's one person who just works all day. Nobody asked him to. Nobody's paying him. And he does it for free. And he makes these available to the whole world. So thank you, Jamie. And maybe you can tell us what you're up to nowadays and what's your plans.
Sure. Thanks, Geshe. And thanks for the opportunity, to continue to work on this and devote, my whole life to it, essentially. I don't know, just let me tell just a little bit of my, similar to your story, sort of my sutra story as well, because it sort of ties into all of this of, why I had the motivation to do this in the first place. So, I don't know. I was working in a sales job in Boston for a software technology company. And I remember every single day I would wake up, go to work. Everything on the outside looked very, very good. Good job, good salary. But inside I was, totally unhappy with my life and what I was doing. And up to this time as well, I had been, practicing with another Buddhist teacher and trying to study and trying to do some practice, but wasn't getting very far and wasn't really understanding what I was doing. So I remember it was just, I was totally burned out with the job, totally burned out with my situation. So decided to go take a vacation for a week and just sit on the beach and relax. It was like the middle of winter in Boston. It was miserable. There's like 3 feet of snow on the ground. So flew down to Aruba. And I remember before I left, I said, I want to try to download a bunch of relaxing music to listen to while I'm on the beach. So I downloaded some like Buddhist chanting music and did a bunch of that before I left. And so I remember I'm sitting on the beach, have a drink in my hand, totally relaxed, put the headphones on, and I'm going to listen to some of that music that I had downloaded. And instead of music coming up, some guy's voice appears on the recording. And it was Geshe Michael. And it was him teaching the pen.
Wow.
And I had no idea how I downloaded it or where it came from. I had no idea who you were at the time. So, and I remember in that moment, I had this moment of I was going to just press fast forward, to get to the music, but I decided to stay. And the class just totally blew my mind. It was everything that I needed to hear at that point in time. So I went back, I did some research. I found out that it was you. And then quickly after that, I made arrangements with my, to leave my job and to come out and try to find where you were. And that's right as Diamond Mountain was starting, I think in 2003 or 2002 or something like that. So like 17 or 18 years ago. And then as soon as I showed up, I started to actually work on the beginnings of the knowledge base. Was living with someone for 8 or 9 years who, was working to try to record all of your teachings on mini disc and various formats. And so we had it all set up in our living room where we were transferring all of those different formats to digital and starting to clean them up and starting to archive them. So that's how it started initially. And then the current website that exists now has been up for about 11 years.
Wow.
So, now it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks to you for, teaching constantly and definitely keeping me busy as well.
Yeah.
So right now, primarily working on all the rim teachings. That's what's keeping me very, very busy.
Yeah.
So we have a great group of, I'm basically the collection point. We have all of these volunteers a lot of volunteer translators who are translating into their own languages. The last program that we did, we had 9 different languages.
Wow.
So I'm getting all these individual pieces, like they're doing voiceover. All of that gets sent to me, and then I'm just cleaning everything up.
Wow.
I'm assembling all the videos. I'm making all the videos. So for the last one, it was about close to 200 videos for the course.
Wow.
So
wow.
that's in nine different languages. So that's just the video. That's just the video, producing those videos and audio. And then another step after that, what I'm doing is once we have the video and the audio up on the website, then I'm doing what I call interactive transcripts.
Wow.
So that's taking, having a transcript online, and then anytime I can relate anything you're saying back to something that also exists in the knowledge base, there's a link for people to click on.
Wow.
So there's all these different rabbit holes you can go to get related information.
Yeah.
And they can click it. They can click anywhere on the transcript, and it'll bring up that exact point in the video. So then they can see the actual video as well. So.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the main thing that we're doing at this point. So.
How do you fund it? How do you get the funding to do all this?
Well, I sort of made it. It was very clear for me that it was my passion in life to be able to do this, because I'll tell you what I see every day is that guy on the beach who was miserable with his life, and in my heart, I see thousands of people in the world like that, they're struggling. They want to find some answers. They don't know what direction their life is going. So for me, that's the motivation. Can I do this? Can I try to preserve this stuff so it's available, that people can connect to it, and it'll transform and change their life and send it in a beautiful direction. So for me, that's my main motivation. I never wanted to make it about money. I never wanted to focus on fundraising. I just want to focus on, I figure my time is very, very limited as well. But I decided I'll put up a link, if people feel inspired, if they want to support it, completely on their own without me pushing or doing any fundraising, but it's just there. And if they find the link, then they can donate a little bit, every month or something like that. So that's the way I've always done it. And enough comes in where I can support myself and pay my expenses now from that. So
that's cool.
So that's pretty cool. But, there's a lot more that we need to do. There's a lot more that we need to expand. Up to this point, I've just been doing it, mostly just me. But that's not sustainable. That's not going to scale over time. So would like to get more people to help with the project. So absolutely, if people would like to support that through Castle Rock Foundation, that would be, extremely, extremely helpful to continue this work.
Cool. So I encourage everyone who's watching. I think, in my experience, Jamie, it's 2 things we need. I mean, obviously we need money. The digital cloud space takes money. It takes money to store things. It takes money to make them available to people, but also it takes people as well as money. And I found that, I think Jamie is a good example that it's a beautiful way to spend your time, and it's a beautiful way to spend your life, to make these things available to other people. So I'd say if you're listening, of course we're asking you to donate to the Castle Rock Fund so that we can give some support, not everything they need, but we can give some support to the knowledge base in the coming generations. But I think even more satisfying and more needed is if you can contact Jamie on theknowledgebase.com, right? And
Yeah, theknowledgebase.com.
yeah, and just offer your help, offer to help him, and it's a beautiful thing to do. It's a beautiful way to spend your life. And thank you, Jamie, again, for being such a beautiful example for all of us of someone who's quietly, modestly, just helping everyone else to get the Dharma. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.